Hey folks, it's Wednesday. Hi everyone. Come on in. Hello, hello. Look, let me get a bite of my little sandwich. Hey y'all. For those of y'all who don't know me, my name's Orion Brown. I'm the founder and CEO of Black Travel Box. Baby, it's been such a day. It's been such a day. And y'all, I call myself picking up drinking coffee today. I don't know why. So I'm over here doing the Harlem Shake. It's hot. Like I'm not used to this whole caffeine thing. But it's been a marathon of the day and I'm so excited to tell y'all about it. And we're gonna bring in my girl Ashley to talk as well. So we're gonna get her invited. So come on in. Y'all, look, laugh at me if you want to. I have no clue. And so our birthday, Black Travel Box, personal care products company for travelers of color, for those of y'all who don't know. Hey, our,
Hey,
our birthday is on Saturday. And so today I have been scrambling to get party favors and things for our shoot over to the studio. And hey, y'all. And so I stopped and got a cake, y'all. I got to tell y'all about this cake. This cake is gorgeous.
oh yum.
So much calamity tried to happen, but Jesus came through. And I found this cake. I went into this bakery and found this cake. And I was like, I really want to eat the cake, but I'm not going to be there for the shoot and I don't want to ruin the cake before. So I got myself a little cupcake with like this much. When I say this much, I'm talking like good 3 inches of frosting, buttercream frosting on top. And I got back to my house and I grabbed my coffee and I got my buttercream frosting. And now I'm like this. Like I am shaking. It is out of control. So I have my sparkling wine. Hopefully that'll look. This is uppers and downers. Isn't this terrible? I'm too old to be doing drugs. Isn't that terrible, y'all?
Did you have your soda? Oh,
So anywho, oh, John asked me from where. What was the name of the place? Hold up. I have it. I have it in my pocket. I'm gonna tag them too. This place is called French for Sugar, and it's super cute. They have like this super cute aesthetic. They're in Denver, Colorado, and I'm really excited. And I'll be tagging them when you guys get to see the actual photos. I'm looking on my computer right now at some of. I'll show you a. I just paid for these. Hold up. Hold up. What's the best way to do this? I'm gonna mess it up if I try to show you. I think I might mess it up. But you guys will see. They'll be coming on stories soon. You guys will see. The cake was bomb, the decorations, all of it. We were just really excited. My baby is 4. 4. Which is crazy because she's still little. She's little for her age. She little for her age. It's not her problem. It's not her fault. She's like in like the 70th percentile, but she's gonna catch up. She's gonna catch up. I'm sure of it. So, hey friend, I
hey.
wasn't ignoring you. I was like, I'm telling you, it's the caffeine.
Oh, you're
Oh my
fine.
God.
Well, you
How
look.
are you? What's that?
Skin is all glowy. That color.
That's
Ah,
this is a filter. Yes. Look at
oh,
that filter.
I,
Come through. Come
I'm
through Instagram.
not
I
living
know.
what's going on right now.
I have my go-to filter that I use every week. And it's not like it hasn't given me a new nose or anything like that, but it does like warm up my skin. I threw on some lipstick though. I threw on some lipstick for you, girl.
I appreciate it. It looks good.
Thank
I did.
you. Woo. As I'm sweating caffeine out, as I'm sweating caffeine. Okay, so for folks who don't know you, please introduce yourself. Tell us where you live, where you're from. We're not going to do the number of passport stamps. I think we did that before.
Yeah.
So I will say, tell us. Oh, and also tell us about what your day job, your day slash your night. I mean, you got different things going on.
Right. I am hustling. So I am Ashley Shaw. I have known this lady for I've known you for almost 2 decades. Like, okay, yeah, two decades. I am a lawyer by training. I own a contract review service called Contract RX. It's a service for physicians. I have somehow become kind of like I spent so much time in-house that I'm a generalist. So I am a lawyer by trade. I have the most randomest stories that are hilarious because it didn't happen to me, but I watched it.
Those
Um,
are the best stories.
right. And 2 years ago, I decided to change my life because I was on the corporate grind. I jumped off the corporate ladder like head first, launched a business, and then decided that I wanted to enter the beauty space. So about 7 months ago, I launched a company called Kane Beauty. Our focus, yay, I know. It has been a journey. It has been a ride. It has been a learning experience, but it is truly a passion because, you know, we focus on providing hair care that is for those that have sensitive scalps, but also just that are experiencing scalp conditions, right? You know, I'm no spring chicken. As I've gotten older, you know, I've noticed changes. You know, after I had my son, I had postpartum hair loss, and there were moments where I felt like this can't just be me going through this. And so I partnered with my physician sister, who is a 1,000% nerd, but she's really smart. And
They're both nerds, by the way, y'all. I can say this because and I know you're not the same person, but for the rest of us, they're the same person. They are identical twins. Number one. Number two. Now, obviously, you guys look different, and I can tell the difference now and all that. But that first year of school, I had no idea what to call them. I was just like, which one? I'm not gonna say that. I'm like, hey, girl.
Each other's name, so that does not help at all. So I partnered with my sister, who I am super crazy close with, the other half of the egg, my twin, and we launched the brand. And it has been a journey. It has been a wonderful thing. And you have been amazing, just helping with all my silly questions. So that is me. But I still have the day job of an actual full-time legal practice, which is, I enjoy it. But you know, the beauty brand is where my passion lies.
I love that. I love that. And you know what? One of the things that I'm helpful, one of the reasons why I'm helpful, now this doesn't mean like all of y'all that are listening to be like, okay, let me just tap in Orion, because Orion only got so much. I got extra energy right now, but it's about to burn out 5 minutes after we're done. But one of the things I do really believe in as just an ecosystem of creators of color, because I believe brand people are creators as well, right? Like we're creating brands. We're not just, you know, like making graphics and things, which graphics are great.
Right.
But like creators of color and folks who are birthing these things, we got to help each other out in tangible ways. Not everybody has all the time in the world. And I'm sometimes I'd be like, oh girl, I got to say, uncle, this week I don't have time. But insofar as I can be like, oh, you have this problem. I saw that last year. Let me tell you what I did. I try to do that as much as possible. And I encourage all y'all to do that as well. So
that, you know, when you're in these spaces, there are so few of us. And entrepreneurship is such a lonely existence. You know, and then, you know, I'm trying to balance just having a family and doing this. And so it can get hard. And so just having that support and just having someone provide, like for me, I will answer legal questions up to wazoo. Because for me, it's like 5 minutes and you have an answer, but now you've been Googling for 2 days trying to figure this out. Right?
That. Yes.
So it is sharing the expertise. It is really treating us as like a community of expertise. Because at the end of the day, you know, we don't have a lot of resources. We don't have a lot of opportunities, and it's up to us to really kind of pull each other forward. And I'm all about Black girl power. So yes.
Right. Even if it's bright black, I'm
right. Well, all shades. You know, I'm
all shades.
Girl power, because I feel like, you know, it is not. There are some days I feel impacted as a Black person. There are some days I feel impacted as a mom and a woman. Right. So
intersectionality is so huge. Really and is. I love that we have a mixed audience for Wind Downs. Like I try not to be offensive to anybody. Mm-hmm. In the sense that there are things that, and we all have this, there are things that we will say in the comfort of our family or our friends, which are some of the things that we have to break, to be honest. Like everybody needs to kind of work on. But I try to make sure that everybody feels welcome. There may be some terms of endearment that y'all hear me say, but they're terms of endearment. I do not like being disrespectful to people. It really actually bothers me. You're a human being. You should be respected. But, you know, as you said, like, I love that we have kind of a mixed audience because there's so much intersectionality in our experiences.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you don't necessarily have to be a person of color to feel eyes on you or an expectation of you that has nothing to do with who you are as a human being. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be you know, like we can have men on who are gay or whatever it might be. Now, obviously, if you're a white cisgender male, you're probably not having these issues. Um, but even if you're here, like I love that you're here and you're able to like kick it with us and get to know us. It's like, guess who's coming to dinner? I hate to put it that way. For y'all who aren't old enough,
Right,
that
right.
was a that was a movie way, way back in what was it, early 70s, late 60s,
Did it already
where
do it? Was it?
they
What?
did redo it. You know, you're right. They did have a remake, but I'm thinking Sidney Poitier, like
I
late
didn't.
60s.
I know. Please don't. Please. I know. I
I
know.
know. But but the idea of if you start to get to know a person more intimately, if you start to have more personal conversations that typically people will clam up if they don't know you.
Oh yeah.
So this is where I love to have, oh, so Donna said, I know what that is. Sidney Poitier. Boom.
You know what?
Um,
One of the ways that I think becoming a mom, like, so there were many ways in which I defined myself. And I was 36, not to date myself here, because I'm feeling old, when I had my son. And so me becoming a mother was later after a whole bunch of other things. But I find a sense of camaraderie, like when you are, and you're like, oh, I'm a toddler mom. Oh, me too. And then you're like, yeah, I forgot the snack this morning and he didn't match and we lost a shoe en route. It is like an immediate, oh, I know, like this week, this week has not been, I'm not winning in the mom game this week.
you know, it's hit or miss though. Like, did
Like,
you beat your child and give them something to go to therapy about? You good. You good. As long as you didn't do that.
there were, it gives a sense of camaraderie that you have, like
Mm.
experiences, right? So like I've had relationships where we bonded on, oh, I've traveled to this place and this was my experience, or a lawyer who was nothing like me in a courtroom and we are sharing the same experience from a difficult client. And so it is, I always look for those moments. I'm naturally no and I look for those, trust building, just information gathering opportunities, because if you talk long enough, you'll find a point of connection there. I
Oh
have
yeah.
to find that I can't do that.
And that's what is so remarkable about travel to me
Yeah.
is because y'all see how I brought it back over. I'm like Barbara Walters over here, y'all. But really, like that's one of the things that's really remarkable about travel to me because when I first started traveling, I was like, let me go to places that are English speaking countries or people that look like me because I need a comfort zone, which we all need a comfort zone in some regard. Sometimes people are like, I need to know that they have a Burger King. That's all I need to know, and then I'm good. Which, by the way, I highly recommend trying fast food in other countries. It is a really fascinating process. But the thing that I find really interesting is as I started going and getting more comfortable being in countries that I don't speak the language, they don't speak mine, and I really ain't trying to learn this in the next 6 days. Like, I'm just going to go and interact with humans. It's amazing how much you can just, by one, coming in with humility. Like, I don't know how to say this. You don't owe me anything because I don't know how to say this.
Right.
And having conversations with people and realizing that you find the same things funny, you like the same things, you have the same hopes and aspirations, you have the same frustrations. Like
Yeah.
there is nothing like interacting with a person who doesn't speak the same language and they have their kid with them and the kid is getting on their nerves and you're just like and they're like this child gonna get beat later, like it's
Yeah.
you're there's that unspoken humanity that is just so important. I think we lose a lot of that in America because we focus on, oh, they don't speak the
Oh yeah.
language or they have an accent or all of that. And yeah, so that's why I
Yeah.
created this space.
But the language is when your kid loses his shit on the plane, every mom can relate to that. I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
like so. Yeah, that is good. But you also got to be open to it too. So yeah.
And that's the key, and that's also where I've had Indian women on and things like that, and I did take a pause. I was like, oh, should I do that or should I make this a Black space? And I was like, no, this is a space that always respects the Black experience, but that doesn't mean that everybody coming into this space has a firsthand account of it. It just means that we're very respectful of it. And the same way with the brand, right? Like, I am very Black woman forward, and people ask me like, oh, is it just for Black people? And I'm like, this is a great conversation to have. And there's one of the reasons why I wouldn't change the name. People are like, Black Travel Box, you shouldn't use the word black. And I'm like, there's so many things that are black that have nothing to do with skin, but have to do with being like handy. So like the little black dress. For y'all who remember before cell phones, your black book, your little black book,
Right.
you know, it had all the things in it. And so while there's sort of a triple entendre happening, I also purposely didn't pull that back because I want us to have a conversation of why does representation automatically mean segregation when it comes to, you know, seeing black bodies in these spaces.
I mean, because honestly, I find in my experience, when you finally are inclusive, you uncover the issues that you ignored from the rest, right? Because take your product. I'm sure non-black people were not out here enjoying the hotel soap, the hotel shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all thought that this condition is not good. This was not, it's just, you know, for us, it was like, I'm out here now looking a mess. I ain't got no options. So I think that you find that often the Black experience is really not that different.
Mm.
It's just when you address the Black experience, you create it's almost like you're addressing people experience, but sometimes in a luxury way, if that makes sense, right? So because you've thought about it and you've really thought through of like, because it's a pain point.
Yeah.
It's just a pain point of like who's infected, you know, who's affected by it is one thing, but it's a pain point. I can tell you, I was not enjoying, I did my honeymoon in Costa Rica and I'll never forget, it was 2 weeks and I was wearing my hair natural. Don't even ask me why I decided to go natural on my honeymoon.
At Costa Rica.
Lady. So
Costa Rica.
That hotel conditioner.
Let's have a moment of silence for that conditioner.
Yes.
Sometimes you hit. I'm not gonna lie. Like there's some of them that you're like, ooh, this is the good stuff, and then you like pile it up. You try to pretend like you used it every day, even though you don't wash your hair every day.
No. Well, I always take the conditioner because I'll shave my legs with it.
Boom.
Because I pay for the entire room. Everything in here is mine.
That's the plug, y'all. She over here shaving her legs with the conditioner. She's like, my leg hair is so silky, and then I cut it off.
But you after, and it creates, you don't get all those scratches and burns. I shave with conditioner.
It conditions the skin too. I mean, the active ingredient conditions the skin too. I have a lot of guys that, because you know guys are hard-headed. So when you tell them this is a conditioner bar, they're like, can I put it on my body? And you're like, well, you can, but it's not a soap. And they're like,
hair on their body to protect their conditioning. I mean, we all have a little bit of hair on our body that we're conditioning.
That's true. That's true. But they're like, can I use it as a soap? And it's like, well, it's not meant to do that. But they're like, oh, it feels good. Anyway, I can't tell you how many times I've had that conversation with dudes. And I'm like, but you do know you should still use some soap just before.
Yeah, I did that too. When you told me, because when I tried it, like I was like, oh, let me try it as. Yeah, that razor flew right over, girl. I'm telling you.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was right through.
It was soft.
The shave bar is coming soon. That's a whole other thing.
Oh, well,
I love it.
All right, I'm right there for it because I don't like the other stuff.
Mm-mm. Well, and I think you really hit the nail on the head. The challenges that we face are really amplifications of the human experience, just based off of the country that we live in. Mm-hmm. And again, this isn't even to get political. It's just to recognize that when we fight for something, whether it be as frivolous as beauty, or whether it be like civil rights or things like that, and everything in between, we're not just coming in and going, we need this. It's like, people need this. We understand that people need this. And we just happen to be disproportionately affected negatively by the impact.
It feels, right? So like, for us, it was absolutely not. I cannot use this hotel conditioner. Other people are like, it's good enough.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
I'm cool with hamburger until I have filet mignon. Then I don't want the hamburger. That's really what that is.
Or go ahead and ground up that filet for me. I need some high quality Kobe beef burgers. Girl, once you have a Kobe beef burger, it's like you looking at McDonald's like y'all are slipping.
You know, when I was doing baby food for my son, and when I first put salt in it, that was a game changer for him. I had to always put a little bit in there. I mean, it was
He got grown taste buds. He got
it.
grown.
Like, and it was just a little pinch of salt. It wasn't much, but before everything was bland. Now he's like, no, I need some salt, mom.
The world has color now. The world. I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
And we got all this chat, all this stuff going in the chat. Black people aren't the only people that benefit from natural hair products. That is so, so true.
Mm-hmm.
This is why, but here's why you see it, why we talk about it more. Because we have two things. One, the aisle is segregated. In most places, there is mainstream, total market, and then there's a section that is ethnic hair care.
Locked glass case in some places. Yes.
Yeah. But the thing is the things that are in those cases or the things that are in those segregated part of the aisles, 80-90% of them have very harsh chemicals and unhealthy ingredients in them. And so
I think about that like a few weeks ago, how like there was a study done, I think it's in group, how they did an assessment of products marketed to Black women versus everyone else, and the percentage of what would be considered low risk was way lower for the products marketed to Black women. Like, and I think it's so, I struggle with this, and I don't want to nerd out too much, but I feel like it's a safe place too.
Yes, let's nerd.
We all transition. Okay, well, I'd never had a perm, but it's no judgment. That was my mom refused to let me have one. We moved away from the perm because it was horrible for our hair, horrible for our, and it was almost kind of like, oh, now we've made it because we're wearing it natural, and we just stopped looking at, but is what's in here really all that great for me too? So it's, I don't think that's a problem unique to natural hair, but in general, I think we can do better with just kind of seeing an oversight for what is included. Cause it really is some stuff you read about and you're just horrified by it.
Yeah.
And it's like, how does this happen? How do we get here? So, but I you're absolutely right. What is in these products can be horrible.
Yeah. And the thing is, with the study that happened in, I think it was 2017 where they looked at it, there were two major challenges. One, there was just more toxic stuff on the ingredient list than what you would see in the mainstream aisle.
Yep.
Which, by the way, I don't necessarily blame, the Black female community for using those, because this is what we grew up with. And if you think about how the manufacturing process works, and the distribution process, it's getting distributed to places like beauty supplies and things like that. It's sitting on shelves for a really long time. It's not fast turn because it's not going into the big mainstream places and moving quickly, right? And so they're like, we just need it to work, and we need it to look clean. We need it to look the same color and smell as good, whether it's 6 months after it was made or 2 years. And you start seeing stuff pop up there that's not safe. But the other alarming issue for me was, and I even noticed this when I started the brand and realized that like the FDA doesn't pay attention to what people put in stuff.
Oh, what's required to call yourself organic? A note from your supplier. Like, it really isn't. Like, that was one of the things where you could say clean, you could say natural, and no one's checking you on it. And I think, one of the things I will say, I think our community in these beauty supplies, I think there's an ignorance. Because I know when I sit down and I have conversations about what we have on our Truly Clean page and why we take certain positions, it's all in relation to the skin.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's personal because I was that woman whose hair fell out. I was that woman. I will never forget. My son was 3 months old, and it was one morning, and I'm trying to nurse him. He's having an allergic reaction because I put coconut oil on his body, and I didn't know that he was allergic to it.
Oh.
And scalp was on fire because I was trying to combat my postpartum hair loss, and I had used Rogaine.
Oof.
Lady.
Wait, doesn't that get into the system and into like you shouldn't do it when you're breastfeeding, or I don't know.
Right? So like, and I remember like my scalp was on fire, and then we're not even going to talk about the time my mother-in-law told me to use onion juice, and I did that, and that was a whole other, but like, I remember like when you have that feeling, it is terrible. Right? I know, right? I felt so set up. But when you have that feeling, it's horrible, and there's a lot of trust, and who would know? Like people make a lot of assumptions about what's okay, what natural means, and brands aren't required enough to disclose enough information for you to even make an educated choice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I, yeah, I think it's what is put in front of us because we don't have a lot of options, right? When you're in your community and there's not a lot where you are. But I feel like that's not the consumer's responsibility. That's on you and I. That's on the brands. That's on the government. Because places like Europe and Japan, they figured it out. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
right. So I think and that's why, we do a lot of education. We it may be a little bit nerdy, but we do education. So it's like, did you know X, Y, and Z? So
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, and you brought up an interesting point. Like if you look at the EU, the government has basically stepped in and said, yeah, I know you said that was healthy for people, but we don't really buy that. So we're just
they
not going to do it.
have preservatives in their food. Like when you buy bread, you got 3 days in Europe to eat. I'm serious. My bread been in the fridge 3 weeks and it's still being eaten. Like, what is in my bread? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's an oversimplification, but it's kind of
But
like
it's true.
it is.
Natural things rot, natural things mold,
Right.
natural things degrade. And there can be things that are natural preservatives, but typically natural preservatives slow down that process. If you have yourself a natural organic Twinkie and that sucker's still good after 3 weeks, it ain't nothing natural or organic about it.
Ain't nothing. The word Twinkie and natural organic.
It can be though. It could be. You could make an organic Twinkie.
Oh, if you're making one, I thought.
Yeah. Okay. Or a company can, and we're going towards that now, right? Like we're starting to see, particularly in the keto space, because I've been over here trying to do my keto life, even though I had this cupcake earlier. Now I'm sweating. See, that's why I got the sugar sweats. Mm-hmm. But they have these brands that are doing like, look-alike brands for cereals. And they're like, it's kind of basically like Trix, but it's, keto friendly or whatever it might be. And we're starting to see that in a number of food spaces where people are like, you could just make the same thing with better ingredients. Like the reason why they made it like that in 1950 was because the world and the context was different, right? Like when you're in 1950 and you don't understand the long-term effects of preservatives, but you just came through a depression 20 years before,
companies know a lot of, and the only reason I'm going to say that is because give it 10 years and see what the lawsuits look like.
Oh no, the companies definitely know. What I mean is like pop culture. Like the culture didn't know. We're like, this is great. It lasts long. It's good. It's, they've added vitamin D to it. This is wonderful.
Yeah, great marketing.
Right. It's great marketing. And I mean, the orange juice, we can talk about the orange juice industry and all kinds of stuff where that's come in. Yeah. But I do think there was at some point a bit of innocence, just a smidge in that approach, especially coming out of depression. And it like, we need to make the same thing exactly the same every time we make it, but we need to make 1 million of them. And that when you mass produce, it really does take an eye for, yes, we need to make more, but how do we make it safer and healthier and this, that, and the other? And that's where we fell off.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Donna's over here going off. Girl, stop going off. It's okay. It's Wind Down Wednesday.
We should fix it.
Girl, don't go off. It's okay. It's okay. We're going to be all right.
It is, the world is what it is. And I think, but see, at the same time, when you're trying to educate yourself, there's so much bad information out there because it is the internet. Anyone can post on it. And putting information up there, and
it may or may not be true. Yeah. Right. The things that I think, and we have the benefit of going to a really nerdy school, having been to such a nerdy school, like I'm the person, like when PPP came out for COVID and they were like, we're paying whatever for payrolls and this, that, and the other and helping businesses. I went and read the statute. I didn't read what no bank told me until I read the statute first. And for all of y'all listening, like you don't have to understand all of it, but just put your eyes on a source that is, third party reputable. Like this is the stamp of, now they could still be kidding us, but I'm not going to get that far into the conspiracy theory.
someone that is independent in the sense they don't have anything to gain from it. I think that that is the
Yeah.
that part. I think when I look at products for myself, it's great what the company's telling me, but it's like you're trying to sell this to me. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually look on my own, but it also means that I'm hesitant to try new things because so for natural juice was not called like they've had to make. So there is this from my time. You might know this. It's a national advertising division where marketing claims get challenged,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's not public information. That is, you will never find that on a docket. You, as a regular consumer, you're not going to find the changes that had to be made. You just got to watch for. Wait a minute. Now they're not saying 100% natural. Now
Mm-hmm.
in a different way. What is that? And you would miss it. And so the reasons for it, like derived from juice instead of
Yeah.
natural juice, right? Like those things. And like those things frustrate me, because it's like, you try to like, what this is like.
I think that there's a fair point of we also have to educate ourselves because having been on the other side of that table, and here was my approach. Y'all can kick me if you don't like it, but I worked in the food business.
Yeah.
And my thing was I had a niece who was really young. I didn't have any kids of my own, but I had a niece who was really young. And I was like, would I give this to my niece? Like, would I be like, ooh, girl, I got a case of this. Let me take this, you put it in your lunch. And my stopping point was I would talk to our R&D people. And I'd be like, all right, so y'all made this. Do you take this home? And I would ask them the questions, does it matter about HFCS versus sugar? And we would have some really interesting conversations where it's like, often it came down to, it just depends on what you want to put in your body, right?
That changed when I got pregnant. And it wasn't about me and when I was nursing. What I learned about baby formula freaked me out. And it was like, this pumping thing is going to work. We're going to do this.
It's super engineered. I mean, but in some places it's life-saving, but in other spaces, that's where you have to balance it.
I mean, it's better than starvation, but like,
yeah.
So like, it is the consciousness. I know I wish in my 20s I was more conscious of what I put in my body. Like, I was probably like doing the 3-second rule of food that dropped on the floor, right? Like at that time.
God made dirt and dirt don't hurt. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, right? Like it does now. These 30-something-year-old body parts and intestine, like, no, let's not do that. But I think it's just being more conscious and taking that step to read it if you want. I mean, if you don't care, that's okay too.
Mm-hmm. And I think that the key is everybody has a different sense of what's healthful. Part of that is predicated on what your personal health is and what your goals are. Right. And then part of that is predicated on just the information that you have. Yeah. And I think everybody should keep the autonomy of, I either care that this is in my product or not or I don't care. Right. So long as they know what it is and what it does and what the potential implications are, because not everything affects everybody the same way. One of the great things about Kane Beauty is you guys are focused on people that have, skin sensitivities, right? And scalp problems. I have people come to me and they're like, "Oh, can I use this? I have this allergy." I'm like, "No, you actually can't. Sorry, I don't have it because I'm, I'll be really upfront about what we have in our products and things like that." And then you go, okay, so some of us are what do they call it? Not tender-headed. Tender-headed is such a terrible term, but like where it's like, we can use things that are a little bit more rough and we don't get those same. Meanwhile, I'm allergic to everything on the planet. So,
right. Having the option. That's really what it was. Like I felt relegated to doing DIY things for my kid.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's no way you could feel like a worse mom than being the reason why they're in pain, right? Like, but this is focused to the woman who, I remember when I was like 8 months pregnant, I'm sitting on the couch crying because I had convinced myself that my baby had broke his own arm in utero.
You like, I can feel it. His little chicken wing is hanging off in my tummy.
Like, oh my God, I can't help you. That was 1,000% pregnancy, irrational hormones. But it's kind of like, I know I had probably have that hypersensitivity to him because it's like, this is my baby, right? have to have him, and
And
he
you're
is
first. Like you
not the only lady. I'm not doing this again. I'm not. No.
first and only. But you know, we all know the adage, right? It's like by the time people get to their third kid, they're like, whatever, just put some bleach on. He'll be just clean him off. Like you
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that was the turning point for me, right? Kind of like
mm,
crazy picky. I remember when I was trying to transition him off breast milk and put him on whole milk, his stomach couldn't take it.
hmm
And she was like, I gotta keep pumping. I'm so tired. My nipples don't even look right.
But the funny thing to me, and I didn't think about this until I was an adult because I grew up. I mean, I was breastfed as a baby, but like as a child, I had whole milk or whatever. But I was like, it's a whole nother species of animal. I mean, understanding that most food is a different species, but like, that's a very different thing than mother's milk. Like, it's a
You
very different thing.
another woman's breast milk, so why are we not grossed out by drinking this female cow's breast? Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, well, and it's not even it's not even the grossed out part. It's like I would not imagine, like I could totally imagine a child being breastfed and then being allergic to all other kinds of milks because it's a different species. It's a different animal. And so to me, it's really interesting that American culture and the milk industry and all that stuff. It's
Yeah.
still nutritional. I'm not saying it's not, but in terms of being surprised when kids can't stomach things and things like that, it's like, yeah, it's a different species.
I think the history, because that whole food group of dairy was not, that's like a thing. Like you go back 100 years. Okay, no, maybe not 100 because it is 2021.
Yeah, no, it's a European thing. So like typically most people who have a heavy African genetic profile typically are pretty lactose intolerant. There isn't a lot of cheese and dairy in those spaces, other than from a parent, from a mama. I mean, if your daddy's lactating, I don't know what's going on there, but
Well, no, I mean, in general, like you go back 150 years, milk and cheese just simply was not consumed at the rate it is now.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so, like, that industry is just, it's so different. Like, we didn't need it then, but we also had lead and paint and all all that stuff too.
It's sort of relative. I think it's one of those things, like you make a really good point. It's like as we scale civilization, as we scale food and all of these things, we maybe sometimes miss out that there's almost too much access and our bodies can't keep up with the level of access that we have to the things that we're exposing it to.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things that it's like, yeah, you probably ate something green. I mean, people go all the way to the paleo diet. I'm like, go back 400 years, 500 years. Like, now that we can create pasteurized milk products and dairy products, now we know how to manufacture more of it because we know how to make it safe to consume all the damn time. All I'm going to say is blue cheese and Gruyere and all those other ones that don't need to be pasteurized because they're supposed to be moldy. The stinky cheeses are my friends and I love them. Look,
The thing I hate is goat. Like, I will flip a table for goat cheese and cilantro. Like, because I feel like cilantro, I feel like people use as a garnish without disclosing. No, some people taste cilantro differently. You can't add that in there. You can't. And so, like that changed actually after I had my son. My taste palette changed with goat cheese. It tastes furry to me and metallic. I don't know why.
furry, girl, you sure you didn't just get some bad cheese?
No.
So this is why I used to say I'll try anything once when I would travel. I'd be like, people would be like, oh, are you going to eat the local food? Like, what's the really? And I'm like, I'll try anything once. And then I realized I would try something and I didn't try it from the right person or from the right place. And I'd be like, that made me sick to my stomach. I totally hate that. Clearly, I don't like this food. And then later accidentally eat it somewhere and be like, this is really good. What is it? I had this before. So now I say I'll try anything twice.
Yeah, that's like eating other people's potato salad. Like, you try some potato salad with raisins in it, and then you got the real one, and you're like, oh, it's not that I don't like potato.
I've actually never witnessed potato salad with raisins in it. I feel like it's an urban legend, like the
They sell
Bigfoot.
They have, I kid you not, they sell it at the grocery store here. It is, so you know how there's yellow potato salad and then
Yeah.
there's white kind. So this is, I saw it was like with the red, what are those red potatoes? And it
Uh-huh,
had
Redskin.
celery and it was white. And then there were literally like, it was like almonds or some sort of nut plus raisins. It looked like chicken salad, but with
I was
potatoes.
gonna say that's chicken salad. That's Waldorf salad. Where you put the grapes and the nuts and all of that
Now,
stuff.
it could have been someone's first day, but I've seen
So it's not an urban legend. It's
it's
real.
not.
It's real.
I tasted it. Just, I was like, can I just, I just want to know.
This is where I'm like, what was that horror movie where they'd be all up in the, you guys, it's real. There's really raisins in the potato salad. I'm so scared.
Don't get don't not running down.
This is not right. I'm so scared. Someone put cayenne in the potato salad and there's raisins too. Uh, oh my goodness. But you know what? I mean, there's also like, if somebody was like, no, it's a delicacy, I'll try it. I would try it. Now, if I don't like it, I don't like it. I'm gonna tell you I don't like it. But I'll try it. You know, there's some things that I've come upon. I'm like, oh, okay.
That was a miscalculation on my part. I will never do that again.
What is the strangest thing you've tried stateside, and then what's the strangest thing you've tried like abroad? And do they actually compare to each other? Like, was it scarier here or scarier there?
I'm not that adventurous because I feel like my taste buds are hypersensitive.
Mm-hmm. You're a super taster.
So when it's nasty, it is nasty, right? It is like I'm very protective when it comes to my tongue. I really am. Let me see. What is the craziest? I mean, the sea urchin was crazy for me.
Ooh. Did Candy tell you we had to artificially inseminate those in biology class in college?
No, and it tastes like it was not meant to be. That's what it tastes like. It was not meant to be.
We did some freaky stuff to those sea urchins, and I remember going to a restaurant after that, and I was like, it's not that I don't think this could be tasty. I just am having flashbacks of just things that I shouldn't be thinking about.
It's too real. I think the most adventurous I've been abroad with food was in Japan.
Yeah.
So fresh. And oh, I actually forgot to do something.
And Donna over here talking about shark meat and hot sauce. Girl, be quiet.
I did try shark. Did not like it. And it was a fin. Was it fin? Shark fin? Oh, and turtle soup.
Mm-hmm.
That was gross. I think it probably could have tasted different if they told me long after I ate it what it was.
Yeah, it's like green pea, split pea soup. Then you would have been, yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe this tastes a little weird, but I couldn't even choke it down. I couldn't even choke it down.
You know, it's funny. I remember being a kid and my mom telling me stories of growing up in Chicago, and she went to a Catholic school, which ironically, she went to a Catholic school, but there were Jewish kids. I don't understand how that happened, but whatever. But I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know. But she would tell me that there was this kid in her class who his mom would send him to school with turtle soup. And I was like, it's got feet in it and everything. And she's like, no. It just looks like split pea, but it's actually turtle. And I'm like, but I like the Ninja Turtles too much. I would try it though. I would try it. Frog legs. I remember getting frog legs not actually too long ago. I was in Chicago. My aunt and I, we go out. We're like, oh, they had a frog leg appetizer, and it has like this sauce that sounds really fancy. I'm like, okay, but girl, the legs were like all,
they look
leggy.
Like. Yes. I have a. Don't judge me. I have a weird thing. I can't eat something that looked like what it looked like when it was alive.
Normally I can, but I could. Girl, the legs were crossed on the plate, and I said, you don't see this? You don't see this? This is a gentleman. That is a gentleman right there. I can't eat a gentleman.
You like tripe? Have you tried tripe?
I have not had tripe in years. I had it like not fried, but like I don't know if it was boiled down or what. And I was like, it's okay. I didn't love the texture. The flavor wasn't bad though.
Is that's what it is? Like the Dominican way? It's like, is it mofongo? What is it?
Mofongo. Yeah,
Yeah,
mofongo.
yeah. I haven't. I've had it like that, but I've also had it the. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to call it the Southern way because I can only really find it here in St. Louis. It's just a fried tripe sandwich where it's like fried. It looks like how you would eat fish on white bread.
Yeah, it's like a little fish patty. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, you can fry anything and pretty much make it taste good. Like
Yeah.
Dawn says she don't like alligator, fried alligator. I gave fried
That,
alligator to two little kids and they had no idea. They thought it was chicken. They were like, "This chicken's really good. Tastes different, but it was good."
yeah, I didn't. I tried that. I didn't like it. Someone put, have we tried tongue? No.
I have. I've had beef tongue before.
Mm-mm.
I've had it on tacos. The only thing that gets me, it tastes and smells amazing. The texture lets me know that I'm chewing a tongue, and I'm like,
Like you biting your own
I
tongue.
feel
Like
like I'm like, well, I'm like that's not right. You're not supposed to do that.
I've been like, oh, I like the flavor, and then it's like the squish. You're like, nope.
Yeah, it's texture. I'm a texture person for the most part. Most foods I will try and like, but if the texture is a little questionable, I had springbok carpaccio when I was in South Africa,
Mm,
which we were at this fancy little gourmet type restaurant, and springbok is basically like local deer, right? But it's a carpaccio, so it's raw. So you use like an acid to cook the meat, so it's safe, but it looks very raw. And then it came with this, when I tell you this pear sauce was off the chain, it came with this like balsamic-y pear sauce on top. And I was like, oh my God, it smells so good. It looks so good. And I got it in my mouth and I was like, this is really good. And then I realized I was still chewing. I was like, and I was like, no, I can't. And after a while, it started sinking. Like you just eating deer butt. You eating raw deer butt. And I was like, no, but it tastes so good. And my brain was like, no, it's raw deer butt. You still haven't chewed it. You can't
but
even
it
swallow it.
like you out because it is. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. So, but I think that food can be a real adventure. One of my favorite Christmas gifts I've ever gotten was a Game of Thrones cookbook, which and incidentally I had read a few years earlier about some of the history of cooking, like southern cooking, and how it heeds back to like sort of old English cooking. So it was brought over and then slaves kind of added some spice and some flavor to it and twisted things up. And so I get this book and they've got like meat pies and all these things, and I'm like, ooh, that sounds terrible. And then I was like, but does it really? Because if I have some Lawry's on that meat. And so there's definitely things that you gotta have to try it a little bit too.
Yeah, you can jazz most things up. Like I think the one thing that is a hard stop for me, it like beef Wellington. Nothing about that seems appealing to me. Like this looks extra bland, extra like no personality. If that is a real thing, like no.
Yeah. Well, and then that's the beauty of food too. And this is where fusion foods and fusion restaurants become so interesting, where
Hmm.
people start to go, ooh, it doesn't have enough flavor, it doesn't have enough color, or if I took that curry and matched it with this thing, it would be off the chain. That's
Hmm.
one of the reasons why I love Caribbean food, because it truly is a mashup of native flavors, of African flavors, and vegetables and roots and all of that stuff, and whatever other countries I hate to say conquered or occupied. And it's escabeche. Escabeche is amazing.
I
Escabeche. So escabeche is a Jamaican thing, and I'm sure they have it on other islands as well. But it's basically you take a red snapper whole, so it does have the face, which I don't mind. I'm not gonna eat the face, but
you
it
love
still has a face. You can do it without, but you fry it in oil. Just you carne it with black pepper and seasoning and stuff, but you don't put like batter on it. You fry it in oil, put it to the side, and then you take that fishy oil and you take your vegetables and you fry the vegetables in there and get them nice and soft so your onions are clear and all of this. And you put Scotch bonnet in it, so it's really hot. Take all of that off, and the vegetables have been pickled prior, so you've pickled like carrots and onions and all of this other stuff, and you take that and you apply that on top. It's basically fish with hot sauce, but it's a chunky vegetable hot sauce. Escabeche, which is where it came from in Spain, is like it's fish. There's vegetables.
that.
and
Oh,
which is fine. You know, sometimes your tummy can't take all that, but there's something really
I,
cool about bringing flavors together.
I can't do the whole fish. I can't.
Well, you know what we do? We'll cut it up and fillet it for you and
But
put
I'm
it
a
on the plate.
like it is. Yeah, you gotta do that in the back and bring it out to me. Uh,
I love it. I love it. So we had a question. It was like, what is the craziest fermented food you've ever eaten? Mm.
I don't eat fermented food.
At all? Not even like kimchi or
Like,
pickles? Well, I guess yeah.
are pickles fermented?
Ah, no, they're pickled. That's true. You kefir or any of that?
Mm.
Um, I am a big fan of
I
kimchi.
did bean paste in. Is it fermented? Is bean
I
paste?
think that is so is technically soy, I think. Like or not soy, but tofu.
Okay, so I've eaten those two things.
Yeah. I love kombucha. I mean, from a beverage perspective, I do really love kombucha. From a food perspective, kimchi is my go-to. I also like sauerkraut, which I believe is also considered. Oh, miso is fermented. That's a good point. Miso is fermented. Miso is good.
Yeah.
I love miso soup.
Yeah.
Me so hungry. Me so hungry.
Eight.
I don't have no sense. I'm sorry, y'all. It was a play on words. Oh my gosh, we've been talking, it's almost an hour. We've been talking all kinds of things, but this has been so much fun. And now I'm hungry.
I know. I know. I gotta tell you my funny story though.
Tell me your funny story.
So, you know how when you're trying to help family with something, it always just leads to something. So here I am in small claims court helping a family member. And I have to pass family court to get the small claims court. So here I'm masked up, I'm extra diligent, I'm looking, everyone's got their mask on. And as I'm waiting my turn, because we're waiting, like there's a line. I'm literally standing directly where I can see the family court. And this man gets so upset. Mind you, he has on a mask. He bends over and moons the judge while making sure his mask is on. So your mouth
It's covered, but your ass is out.
and I made this weird sound. I was stuck between horrified, like a horrified, oh my God, that happened, and like this is hilarious. And I just made this weird donkey-like sound. It was like, oh my God. I was so mortified that I got out of line. I just got out of line, hit out. It was like, yeah.
She in the back of the court talking about, hee-haw, what was that?
Like, everybody was like, oh! And I was like, oh!
Look, that is hilarious. And it is so funny how, I mean, I feel like that's even more petty. Like the level of petty that you have to be like.
In response to the lawyer, the judge, he had said to the judge, what do you think of da-da-da-da-da? He was being smart. And the judge gave him what he was supposed to have. Like, what do you think of that? I'll tell you what I think of that. Boom. Like,
I mean, he did ask what he thought. And, you know, it's a free country, although I feel like it's indecent exposure, so he should have gotten.
I mean, yeah, like he got in trouble, but it was just like, it was my response to it that was just so awful.
I'm so glad you said. So y'all, she messaged me. She texted me before we got on. She was like, "I have the story for you," and I was like, "Okay." That was so worth it. Like that was worth the whole conversation just to get to that.
That was because the person in front of me looked like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm just
like, y'all didn't see that. I have no shame. I'll just stand there and be like, nobody else thought this was hilarious. Seriously, like. You people are made of stone, and I don't trust you.
There was a chuckle, but it was like what came out of my mouth was not a laugh.
From the belly of your being, the very bottom of your being, came out a belly laugh of epic proportions.
Something, but it was absolutely hilarious. Because can you imagine getting to that point where you feel compelled that is your response? So then I felt bad for the mother. I was like, what exactly have you been dealing with if he just did this to the judge?
This is where, but you know what? I think we all have those moments, right? And especially now that COVID and stuff has been happening, where we're under so much more pressure in so many situations, and whether we're angry that people are wearing masks or not wearing masks, or that like there's traffic even though nobody's supposed to be out and all that stuff. You have those moments like, if I just pushed that old lady in front of the bus, would anybody say anything? Like,
We all have unreasonable moments.
yeah, now the key is to hold yourself to enough sanity to not actually do it. But when you do it, you may end up on somebody's live and the bump of courtroom jokes, which I'm so here for. I love it.
I hope someone got that on camera. That would be awesome.
It's gonna be on like one of those dumb criminals shows. You ever see they're always like, yeah, you know, he lopped his finger off, but he wiped off all of his fingerprints and left the finger. It's like, what?
Right.
That's terrible. I hope everybody has all their fingers and toes. I really do. But that was the perfect close. We are all giggling. We're all giggling. Tell everybody, completely off topic of this man mooning people, tell everybody where they can find Kane Beauty and where they can follow you and see more of your journey.
Yes, so you can find Kane Beauty. We're on Instagram and Facebook. On Facebook, it's just Kane Beauty, Kane Beauty, and on Instagram is at Kane Beauty Brand. You can find me on Instagram at Ashley Nall Shaw. That's AshleyNallShaw. I am actually trying to get better about doing lives. I said I was going to do stories of, like, on today's episode of Entrepreneurship, Mom Edition, or Wife Edition, or What the Hell Edition, like whatever. Like I said, I was just gonna do that just to kind of narrate this journey for that, because I find, you know, I'm working on I feel like I give very much auntie vibes in my environment, and I feel like we all just need a little something right now. So that's what I said. So you can follow me or the brand. I'm going to commit to doing some stories for entertainment purposes. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for joining us, Ashley. This was joyful and fun and real. We talked about some heavy stuff, but in a really light way, which was good. Yeah. And again, like, you know, my whole goal for doing these every Wednesday, they started out at the beginning or sort of mid-COVID of, I need a break. I need a moment. I need a release valve. And I made it all about travel and beauty and just fun and having real conversations like we were actually in the same room.
I can't wait to watch this when we are all just like, this is all behind us and we are all just going about our merry way in the world and hearing those stories.
We're going to be like, what are they talking about? But at the time it made sense. And it's all good.
I don't normally do this, but it was my first trip after COVID, and
what happened was, yeah, I mean, but that's what we're here for. This is a safe space for us to cut up and love on each other and have fun conversations. I want to thank everybody that joined us. You guys have been killing me with the comments. I'm dying over here from the comments. I'm laughing my little tail off, and it's been a highlight of my week. I hope this has been a highlight of yours. It's Wednesday. I usually say it's all downhill from here, but I want to say it's all up from here. Not uphill, not work, but everything's going to get better. I'm speaking that into your lives. Hopefully this week will end better than it began, even if it began great. And that you guys have a wonderful week and a wonderful weekend. And we're going to do this again next week and kick it. And next week, God willing and COVID aside, I will be coming live from Sonoma, California. So I'm really excited. We'll be doing Wind Down from Sonoma. Our brand birthday is on Saturday. Happy birthday to Black Travel Box. It's my 4-year-old. She's a little undersized for her age, but she's about to catch up. She's about to have a growth spurt, y'all. Y'all don't even know the beautiful things that are coming.
It's the little ones you got to worry about.
It's the little ones you got to worry about. My uncle, God rest his soul, was a preemie. He was like 3 months premature or something crazy. So super tiny when he was born. That man was a big dude. He was a big guy, like 6'5", 6'3", something like that. Big dude. I was like, you lied. You weren't a preemie. I had to ask aunts just to find out. But so we're going to say she was a preemie, but there's some really amazing things coming. I really appreciate y'all. And for all of you who supported our crowdfunding campaign that we just shut down I just really love on y'all. There's some really cool things that we're going to do with those funds. Ashley, thank you for kicking it with us. Say hi to Candy for me.
I will.
And we have to definitely do this again soon, girl. Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you. You guys have a good night.
Good night, everyone.